And Mr. X, did you hear about the shooting? Yeah, I heard about it, you know. I mean, it's sad. They were like, no, no, no. It was Tom Crooks. I was trying to send a message up in the chat. I was trying to let you know that I am the former teacher of Mr. Thomas Crooks. This is no joke. Where I disagree with what you were saying is how you went to painting this negative picture of him like the media. Knowing him personally, I was his teacher in 2020. This isn't the same individual from 2020. Nice guy, little scrawny. I nicknamed him, I call all my students names. I would call him Muscles because he was built weird. Little scrawny dude, no muscles. But he was very intelligent when we talk about his intelligence level, very smart. I can't see, even with everything that's going on, me personally, I can't see a situation where he did it based off of, I don't know, problems and situations and mental illness and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. I think to me, it doesn't make sense, even when we're talking about him being on the roof with an AR. Well, nobody seen him walking with an AR. Here's a registered Republican that has a problem with a Republican. Too much doesn't make sense. But like I tell everybody, I denounce whatever he's done. I'm not.
Was he teased in school, like they say?
Say that again.
Was he teased in school, like many of the?
No. So that's another problem that I have, because there's this narrative that they're pushing in my classroom. So I taught for Votech, a school called Still Center for CT. So he was an individual that, you know, they make fun of everybody. You know, I had the nerds of the school, all my computer technology students. I taught for 2.5 hours a day. He was a PM student. Tom was when I say very smart, AP classes, in my class, 4.0. I mean, was always the student that knew his stuff. He was shy, a little bit on the quiet side, but he enjoyed life. Like, you're talking about somebody that would smile and come in to enjoy his classroom. Now we're talking about 4 years later, and he's this bad guy willing to take down the government. Something's wrong with this picture. Something's very wrong.
Did his parents ever come to the school and pick him up? Did you have any interaction with them?
So the only interactions I've had with the parents was based off of open house. His parents were not bad. You know, all of my parents seem to be good parents of the school. Never had a problem. You know, I thought Tom's parents were great because of how good he was. You know, I tend to base a lot of the parent interactions based off of the students and stuff. Now, there's some other students, if they would have said they were part of this, hands down. But Tom, I can't see it. I just can't. And this is weird, because from the same school he went to, I had another student. He's the second student that I taught who was involved in something surrounding shooting. So the school has a bad rep itself.
He never had, did he have a temper or anything like that?
No. I mean, you can upset Tom to the core, and he kept a cool, calm demeanor. If somebody tried to antagonize him, he would just brush it off and make some little snarky comment and then go right back to his assignments. Like, this was nobody. All right, I'll give you an example. The first individual that was a student from their school that became a school shooter, and this is an article you can actually look up. His first name is Xavier, and put in Bethel Park. It'll come up the first link. This individual, when I met him, did not seem right. Now, from my military background, when I have a problem with a student that doesn't seem right to me, I tend to stay in the area close, just in case something happens. I can address the situation. Well, I noticed every time I come near him on his laptop, he would turn and then try to close it. Didn't make sense. So maybe a couple weeks later, because I kept my eye on him, stayed close to him, even tried to keep other students engaged with him at all times. 3 weeks later, next thing you know, the assistant principal comes to my classroom and started asking me questions about this individual. So what's going on with him? Then from what I gave him, I told him, I said, something strange about him. I don't know what it is, can't put my hand on it. I said, but I'm going to tell you this. It has my radars going, and I have to stay around him at all times. But don't feel comfortable around him. Well, found out that this individual was planning on shooting up the entire administration in school, at the same school. Now, Tom never had that thoughts or feelings about Tom. This is an individual that enjoyed learning, enjoyed computer technology. Matter of fact, last night when it happened, all my former students called me to tell me it was Tom. And at first I didn't know who they were talking about. It didn't click. They said, Mr. X, Tom. Then I thought about it. Oh, shucks, muscles. Because of his build, like I told you, you should call him muscles. So I didn't have that with Tom. Did not have it. You know, that's why I said today I don't. There's a pit in my stomach that's telling me there's more than meets the eyes.
So why do you think, as far as the students are coming out and saying that he was mercilessly teased in school?
I think it could be a narrative that they're pushing. So I don't know if you've ever had reporters in your face, but they'll push a certain narrative. And when you say something, they'll start recording again and try to guide you in a certain way. I can get some of my former students that were in the class, and they would tell you themselves, that's not Tom. Tom, when they say he was wearing fatigue, Tom used to wear this overshirt. It was like a little thick sweater because he didn't really wear a jacket if it wasn't too cold. But it would be an overshirt that it was brown on the top and had very little fatigue at the bottom. It wasn't like he was coming to school militant and this stuff. This dude wouldn't hurt a fly. That was Tom. That's the Tom I knew. Somebody that his demeanor was so fragile. So that's who I knew, Tom Crooks.
Did he ever have any extracurricular activities or anything that he was passionate about? Any hobbies?
So that's what my class was, their extracurricular activity. Because of both tech teachers, so we're not like academia teachers. We are special interests like technologies and stuff. And he would leave Bethel Park every day at 12, about 11. They come to my classroom about 12. And when they come in for 2.5 hours, we're learning computer technology. Computers was his passion.
And he was an A student. There was no signs. He didn't have a temper. He was just cool and people would say anything to him?
Not any bit of a temper. Like I told you, you're talking about somebody who, when he comes in, he was ready to learn. He was ready to learn. I give him an assignment, and his assignment was all. Now, I did hear one of the students on the interview say, the young lady, she said, everybody knew that if you needed the right answers or something about the assignment, go to Tom. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Tom was the man that knew his stuff.
Would you say he is possibly or could be possibly easily influenced? Was he that type of have that type of character?
No. Because even in my classroom, like I used to call them my nerds, right? My nerves would even have their own clique. But Tom, even though he engaged with everybody, because I fostered an environment where everybody was accepted. So even Tom, he was a sophomore when I first met him, because my classes are set up sophomores, juniors, and seniors, where you do your year one, year two, year three, and I either have 2.5 hours for the AM students or 2.5 hours for the PM students. Tom wasn't the student that will find a clique or a group of friends. He was just Tom, just by himself, but never somebody who was a worry. Sometimes you have students that you worry about them because they're by themselves. They don't have a social life. They're socially awkward.
And you're saying he wasn't socially awkward?
He was socially awkward.
Okay.
Because, like I said, you got this scrawny dude, talk funny, water glasses and stuff. But all of my students were socially awkward. I had a student, a young lady that would just get up and you ask her a question, she starts crying. I have individuals when you talk to them and stuff, put their head down and won't even make eye contact. By year one, I couldn't get some of my students to say hello, hi, or shake my hand. By year three, shaking my hand, talking. I even had parents come to my open house and let me know. I even had parents come to my open house to tell me how their students have opened up or making friends and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
A whole different lifestyle, and wondering, what am I doing? I said, I just treat them like people. Tom was no different.
Did he ever have like a proclivity to guns?
No. See, that's another thing too. When I'm hearing all of this, no. So the one thing I've learned about my students is they all have their interests, right? There's certain things that they'll talk about off schedule, more or less. Like most of them talk about computers, but you'll have some talk about cryptocurrency. You'll have some talk about the government and everything else. Like I said, there's some of my students, if they would have said they did it, because some of them don't like, politics and the government and the system and everything else. I had a student get up and voice that, not only to me in class, but to administration and to his own homeschool. If you would have told me him, absolutely not Tom. Tom wanted school. Tom wanted education, and Tom wanted to be in the AP classes.
So he wasn't political or care anything about politics?
Nope, not at all. So when I even heard that he was a registered Republican, that even threw me through a loop.
Really?
I would have looked at him more as an independent. Somebody who's not for one side or the other, had his own way of thinking.
Interesting. Okay.
So when I'm hearing this, it's taking me through a loop. I've had some of the other instructors call me today or text me to inquire. And one of the instructors was like, did you get that from him? Because I didn't. I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's why I told him, regardless of what he has done, I denounce it. I don't like what's going on. But at the end of the day, I'm going to allow the young man that I knew, the bright, smiling, I got a picture, the picture that you put up on your, the background and stuff. I got a picture on my phone of him and another student in classroom working on the computer, smiling. I got another picture of us taking a bus trip and he's throwing up a thumbs up. This is not that dude. This is not him.
So this is completely out of character from your experience with him then?
I have a personal experience. At a minimum, I've been around him for 16,000, I did the math, 16,000 hours. So 108 days for 2.5 hours a day. I mean, not the time I knew. That's why I said, if you tell me any other students, some of my more tough nerds, those individuals that had these low political stances and stuff, I would say, you know what? I could have seen it coming. Not Tom.
As far as
Not
like
Tom.
mentally being aware and everything, was his faculties running at 100%?
It was at 110%. This wasn't an individual who, one day you'll see him and you'll question, or another day you see him and he was okay. No, at all times, Tom was Tom.
So he always
That's
was
why
he always upbeat and everything?
he was always upbeat. Come to class, first thing he'd greet me, salutations, or try to shake my hand because I always taught my students a firm handshake and stuff. Never know how long or how far a firm handshake could take. So he shakes my hand, go right to his seat, and he open up his book and he's ready to start working. That was Tom.
And how many years ago was this? You said 2022. So 2 years ago then.
Yeah, 2 years ago. No, 4 years ago. It should be 24. So 2020.
2020, 4 years ago.
Right.
Do you think it's possible that a change in his demeanor or his attitude or personality, could have taken place during that time, or you just don't see it coming to this extent?
So I didn't see it coming, and to me, I still don't feel that this was something like that. Like when I first seen it, because I didn't even know it was him. When I first heard everything that was going on with the situation, I thought off the back, this was a setup. This was something that they, may have paid somebody and this and that, because a lot of the stuff that I seen in the video did not seem like it was legit. It seemed like it was staged. The Secret Service, the cops running around like they were chickens with their heads cut off. It didn't seem right. Then I'm hearing, okay, this individual was allowed to go up on a roof, where you and I both know when you're talking about the political landscape and former presidents and stuff, they'll clear off the whole area and make sure that there's sharpshooters all over the place. But somehow this roof was allowed access. Now, on this roof that allowed access was an individual with an AR. Something doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound right. So I don't know what happened in the last 4 years, but
it would have to be extreme, from the person that you knew.
Right. You're talking about an individual about 5'6", who was built like a broom. That's why I gave him those ironic names, muscles. Because if you pluck him, it looked like he would fall apart. I can't see it in him at all. So
now during that time, you said it was 2020. Wasn't there COVID or anything? So you guys didn't have lockdown?
So yes and no. So we started off with lockdowns, and then what they did was they opened it to some students can come to school. So some students were remote and some students were in school. So we had to perform double what are they called? The lesson plans and stuff. So we had to do a lesson plan for those that were in school, and we had to do a Zoom lesson plan. So Tom, like I told you, he was the type, he didn't want to stay home, so he came to school.
Now there was a report that I came across of him being, I think, removed or excluded from firing or a shooting club or something like that because he was a horrible shot. Are you aware of anything like that?
Now, I wouldn't know about that because their school, their home school may have had that program, and I wasn't aware that they had any shooting. Now, I'm going to ask my other students, the students that actually went to the same school with them, they called me last night, to see if there was a club of such thing.
Yeah, a rifle team of some kind. That's what was reported.
In my years of working there, I've never heard a student from Bethel Park tell me that they had a rifle club or shooting club. Now I'm just hearing about this. Now, it could be true. They probably had a rifle club. They probably went out for it. But guess what? A lot of these things, these students are trying to go out just to be involved, not, so they can build up their skills to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never heard of a club that would get rid of somebody because you are poor at it. Because remember, these are teens trying to fit in and become good at something that they're not used to. So you mean to tell me that in the ninth grade, the majority of these students that sign up for rifle club, if this is even a thing, are excellent shots? Something that it doesn't sound like to me. Sounds like propaganda that they put in there because they have to paint this negative picture of who this individual was.
Mm.
So that's what it sounds like to me. I will inquire about the rifle club because I've never heard about it.
So you had students calling you in that were just as shocked as you were?
Now, they called me at 1 o'clock last night, 1 o'clock in the morning. And Mr. X, Mr. X, did you hear about the shooter? Yeah, I heard about it, I mean, it's sad. They were like, no, it was Tom Crooks. Tom Crooks? I don't know no Tom Crooks. I'm thinking, oh, maybe one of the students from the other programs. And then they kept on saying it. And I said, Tom Crooks. And just a vision went in my mind, muscles. So the first thing they asked me, do you still have a picture of him on your phone? I said, absolutely. Went through my phone, found the pictures, uploaded it to our Discord. And then they showed me the pictures of, because I didn't know about the pictures of after the shooting and everything else. Mm-hmm. I'm not in TV. So when I get my news from you. I get most of my news from you. So I'm not watching Action News and CBS and all that other stuff. I get my news from YouTube. So when I seen the pictures, the gruesome pictures of him just laying there on the roof with the blood all up, it became surreal at that moment. Mm. And then when the other instructors started texting me today, I mean, it went from surreal to that pit in my stomach, like, this is really happening. And then I had to think about his family, because now in a situation like this, they're the survivors and they're going to demonize them. They're going to rip through this family. And the family is going to be accused for everything that he's done, mm-hmm. even if they knew or didn't know about it.
And you said you knew you knew them through parent-teacher conference, correct?
Yeah, when it comes to orientation. So we would have freshman orientation, or this is where I first met them, where new student orientation. We didn't have freshmen, we had sophomores. So when the sophomores come in, their parents will come in with them. And then we would have open house. And open house would be for us to set up the classroom so that all the parents can come in and see the display of what the students work with. And computer technology, so I taught A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. So hardware, security, and networking. And the parents will come in and see our network rack, the PCs that the students would take apart, rebuild, and learn all the parts from. And then in the security area, where we would have programs on the computer, whether they were like hacking programs or security programs. So the parents come in, look at all of their stuff, and then if they wanted to have a one-on-one conversation with me, they were always welcome to, inquire about their student.
Did you ever have any discussion with his parents?
Yes, and that was just simple. Look, you got a top-tier son here. I mean, hey, I can't even give you anything negative.
Really? No behavioral, write-ups or anything?
None. Absolutely none. When I say you talk about the perfect student, there was times where I used to tell the other teachers, if I had at least 25 of more of him, the world would be a better place.
No way.
My classroom would be a better place, because this was a student that I never had to go back and, reprimand or check his work, or, I even had a problem. If I said, we had to read chapter 1 and answer the questions at the back of chapter 1. Before class was over, Tom had all his work done. And when it came to, in tests, always had one of the best scores in tests. This was somebody that, his demeanor was, like I said, like a meerkat, a wet bird. But his tenacity to work and strive for excellence, unmatched, unmatched.
Was there a reason why? Because apparently they said that despite his grades, he didn't go to college. Was that ever discussed or anything or hinted at?
So I think what the problem was with that. So one thing I've learned is a lot of these areas like to paint this pretty picture. Bethel Park is one of those areas where certain schools that are districts of this VOTEC tend to be more of the middle class, upper middle class, or lower upper middle class, and then some of them are straight poverty, right? Bethel Park was somewhere in the middle where their students tend to flourish more than the other students in our PM because we only have four schools in the PM. But the problem I think it is that a lot of them live this life of luxury in the public, and behind closed doors, they don't really have it like that.
Do you
They
think
don't really
that
have.
possibly could have been as far as a situation for
I,
Tom, where
I,
everything? Because it sounds like everything seemed too good.
I can say yes because now when it came to his clothing, wasn't always the best. Like his sneakers were never name brand. I can remember a pair of gray voted Nikes that he would wear that weren't in the best of shape, but they weren't in the worst of shape. Because he had this frail built, just regular khakis, like some brown khakis, and maybe a button down shirt, a sweater or something. Um, that's about it. There was nothing. See, some of my students tend to be flashy because they like to fit in too.
Hmm.
And you would have them, as they say, Mr. X were wearing a drip. So they would have their Nikes and everything else. Never Tom in any of that. Tom was one of those students that, all right, so just to give you a little insight, Monday and Tuesday, I used to have what's called Dress Down Day, where all of my students from the month of October until the end of the year, on Monday and Tuesday, you had to professionally dress. So if you had khakis, you had some shoes and a button down shirt or a polo that you had to wear on Monday and Tuesday. This was pretty much Tom, throughout the year, where nothing really flashy, maybe a pair of loafers, khakis, and just a shirt.
Hmm.
Or if he didn't wear that, like I told you, the Nikes, a pair of khakis to go on top of them, and a T-shirt, and that was his dress down. But never anything I could say. You know what? His parents got a little bit of money.
Did he ever relay any aside from your class? Were there other interests that he showed to have?
Just his AP classes. So
That
I
so it was
know,
strictly business then.
man, it was strictly business with Tom. Tom wasn't the student that was going to play around when it comes to education. Was not. So when they say that he didn't go to college, it was just community.
Hmm.
To me, there had to be a financial reason for that
Gotcha.
because Tom could have gotten into any school with uh, the way he excelled, especially in the AP classes. Like some students have excelled in AP classes. What we found out is that when they attend college, they couldn't even compete on the lowest math level or reading level. Tom, not so much. Tom was that he can excel even beyond the basic level of math and reading on a collegiate level. But to me, that tells me the problem has to be, more financially when it comes to the home.
Mm.
I could be wrong though. I could be wrong, but that was my assessment looking at him. I didn't see any riches, and I do know that you have families that may have money and won't splurge on their children, but I didn't see any. There was nothing that told me that Tom had or came from money.
I mean, based off what you're saying, yeah, this is sounds very peculiar. How it
That's
just
why
come
I
out of the
said
blue.
something's wrong. Something's wrong.
Yeah, it sounded like the family was okay. I mean, you said no signs or concerning signs from the parents. He was always happy. You don't know where the teasing came from.
No, that sounds like something they're talking about from Bethel Park. But this is the thing about teasing. You would hear from the students coming back to the classroom. So I know Tom did go back to the school and started taking more of his AP classes, which pulled him out of computer technology. Um, you would have heard the other students say, "Hey, Mr. X, he gets bullied." You know, every time you turn around, somebody's doing this, somebody's doing that. You know, because one thing about me, they knew when it came to my students, they were like my family. I didn't play when it comes to bullying. That's a no-no to me.
So no one reported to you as far as nothing came across you as far as him being bullied.
Nothing, nothing.
Is it possible that it was happening, but you were never informed about it?
Well, see, this is another thing too. So if if it was happening and nobody was informed, there was absolutely nobody informed because what they tend to do is at the home school, if there's bullying going on in the home school, it comes to the vocational school. And when we get it, we are to keep an eye out for any other extracurricular activity, side bullying, or friends of the bullies that are picking on it from other technologies. So no.
Hmm. If you had to, describe a motive, what if you had to, like gun to head, what would you say? What could possibly motivate him, given the person that you
So
knew?
now this is my theory. When we talked about him not being able to go to a school,
Hmm.
it's twofold: financially motivated, and sometimes when life doesn't fan out the way you want to, we tend to have a give up type of mentality.
Mm. So you think that possibly what signs of depression?
Possibly. And now, if somebody said depression, I could see that. I could see if you're talking about coming from a family that doesn't offer any financial stability to assist you in moving to the next level, and you're at home, there's you know no real road to travel. The possibility of depression can set in. And remember, we're talking about children who are in the impoverished type of environment. These are the underserved. So depression can hit the underserved or aggression.
Mm. Do you know if he was active in his community, in his neighborhood? Like, did he?
No, I do not know that.
Gotcha. But he was active in school, correct?
He was active in school.
Oh man, this is wild. Absolutely wild. Was he on message boards? Was he frequent online?
So online activity, very little. My classroom had a Discord server that he was maybe 40% active in the Discord server, because while teaching the class, it was mandatory for my students to be a part of it. So I used Discord during COVID to teach my lesson plans and everything else, upload documentation, and they were able to submit their assignments and stuff. Um, so that's about the only activity that I see.
Gotcha. Okay. And there was nothing from other students that maybe suggested that he wasn't in the best headspace, even during COVID?
Even no, so during COVID, no, nobody really said anything. He was still himself via online, and then when the school made the decision to go to the hybrid mode of us coming back to school, and those, nope, same old time.
Mm. Yeah. What do you think that, as far as they may discover during the investigation?
Now, my thoughts is the possibility of him possibly being depressed, and there being one of those, memos or statements or anything that he just gave up on life. Because I'm still trying to find out the big question that nobody can answer. If this was a registered Republican, why does he have a beef with Republicans?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty long rabbit hole to go to, from academic success to depression, then to possibly trying to take out a president.
Right.
It's a long road. So from what you sound, it sounds a bit foreign that he would do something like this.
So my classroom always worked with a facilitator, special ed facilitator, that would assist me in any and all my endeavors if needed, right? When they weren't working on other assignments. Even a special ed facilitator said the same thing. We can't be talking about the same person.
So there is no one that you've come across, student or teacher, that's been like, okay, yeah, I can see that.
Not one person. I could see if there was, somebody said, you know what, maybe, but not one person yet. Not one person.
I guess that's just...
Like I told you, my former students, they were shocked it was Tom. Shocked.
Have you seen the interviews of other kids who allegedly, were saying that he was mercilessly, teased and bullied?
I did. I seen the one with the two kids standing there. The one had the blonde hair, and then I seen the young lady with the dark hair. The young lady with the dark hair had a lot of positive things. The two that were standing there, were the ones saying that he was bullied and everything else. I don't know those individuals. They probably went directly to the school and didn't take up any technologies at the school.
Got you. Do you think that may be a possibility, though?
Anything's possible. I don't put anything past anybody. In 4 years, something could have happened, and maybe, immediately after graduation in 2022, something may have happened, and here we have somebody who has a problem with the system or anything. You never know. I can't put my hand on anything like that,
Gotcha. Okay. You have any, as far as like any final thoughts as far as regarding Tom and this whole situation?
Yeah, like I said, the only thing is I know that this campaign is looking to smear and create that agenda or that narrative that everybody's looking to hear. If this was the individual that wore the long trench coat and the hoodie, and he was picked on so much that he walked around with 2 AKs in his back. That's the narrative that's really starting to unravel me, because this wasn't who I knew, and now it's like night and day.
Is it possible he had a secret life that and he was just really good at hiding it?
If he did, he was damn good at hiding it.
Wow. All right. Well, I appreciate the call, man.
Now, I appreciate you answering the call and giving me the opportunity of just talking about Tom, because like I said, I'm going to remember him based off of the young student that I used to teach, not this horrific event that just took place. So I do appreciate it.
Totally understand. You take care and stay safe, man.
You too, and appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. That's crazy.